had one person come at me yet after the loss of the Florida State Notre Dame game last night. That's refreshing. That's refreshing. Welcome into the Hateful Hitman podcast, my first War Chant recap of the season. If you stayed up and watched the game last night, you were not disappointed. I'm going to go through this here. We'll start at the beginning. We'll work our way all the way through it. Personal views, personal expressions. If this is your first time listening, this is what I do normally after the game, but it was a little bit of an emotional spent last night, and I didn't really have a whole lot to say. I wasn't mad. I wasn't. I was just a fan that had enjoyed a very good game, and I wanted to leave it at that. I didn't want to put a spin on media and things like that. I didn't want to put so I slept on it, and so here we go. I mean, it starts off, and it had leaked out earlier in the day that it was going to actually be Jordan Travis, the starting quarterback, which is something that I think we all knew, if you follow Florida State, was going to happen, just for various sundry reasons. He had a really good camp. He had really good practices leading up to the game, and Milton had missed some and didn't look quite as sharp as from the reports, coming out of warchant.com out of Tallahassee, was that he just hadn't looked, as good as Travis. And look, you're playing the number 9 team in the country. Okay, they are good. They're ranked 9 for a reason. It's not a fluke. So you had to have known that you're going to have some adversity. And with adversity comes, pockets breaking down, a pass rush that's going to be coming at you relentlessly all game. And I think you need a quarterback that is really more of a mobile type player that can move in and out and make things happen with his legs and stuff. And that didn't happen last night for Jordan Travis. They came in with a plan, and it was evident early on, middle way through the first quarter and into the second, that they were not going to let Jordan Travis beat them with his legs. They were going to make him throw the ball or, make things to where it wasn't going to be as easy for him to escape the pocket, and he didn't. And, you kind of got a sense of, well, it's the same old FSU defense. We're on 4th and 1 there early in the game. They hit Michael Mayer, their all-world tight end, for a walk-in touchdown. There wasn't anybody in the screen. You're like, oh, crap. But then if you look at the replay when it came back from the commercial break, and you're looking at the replays and stuff, that was kind of a fluke. I mean, he was open, sure, and Jack Cohn made the good throw to him to get him the score, but it didn't really happen after that. Throughout the rest of the course of the game, now Jack Cohn had a career game, which is unfortunate, and their tight end had a good game, which is unfortunate, but you really had to feel inspired with what this defense did, not only at the beginning of the game and withstanding, Notre Dame's first punch and the counter punch. And I was absolutely, I can't even find the word. I was absolutely blown away with the way the defense played pretty much the whole entire night. Shutting down the run, which is what Notre Dame was wanting to do. Okay, now they had a few things, but I mean, FSU outrushed Notre Dame for the game, and they shut their run game down, and they made Jack Cohn beat him, which, even though he had a great game, 300 yards, what was it, 3 or 4 touchdowns, career game. That's not what cost FSU the game. Ultimately, you can't turn the ball over 3 interceptions. You can't turn the ball over that many times and expect to win a game like that. Now, 3 interceptions turned into 21 Notre Dame points. That's the game. That's the difference in the game right there, and it's very unfortunate. But the one interception by the safety from Notre Dame was just an unbelievable play. He came from clear across the field on a play where Travis had rolled out to the right and threw the ball, and it wasn't a bad throw at all. It was just this guy came out of nowhere, clear across the field to make an interception. And the guy ended up with 2 interceptions for the game, but that's something that you just can't. That was not even on Travis. I'm not blaming that one on Travis. The one that was tipped and bobbled and picked off. That happens. I'm not blaming that one. Now the first one he threw was pretty bad. That one was on him. But the other 2 were just freak plays of just sheer athleticism and, tip ball, right place, right time. But nevertheless, it's an interception, and all 3 of them turned into 21 points. And that's huge. That's 3 touchdowns that they wouldn't have scored, and maybe FSU, if they don't turn the ball over, scores on one of those drives and really changes the complexity of the game. So that was the difference. I mean, you can talk about the kicker all you want at the end, and look, I'm on multiple FSU Facebook groups, and the one guy's like, in big bold print, Norvell needs fired. Well, dude, you need to find another team to root for, because Norvell has turned this team into something that's not the joke of Florida anymore. Okay, anybody who wants to say now that Norvell needs fired needs to go find another team to root for, because this guy is the truth. He's the real deal. He loves this team. He loves these players. You listened to him in his press conference after the game was over with, talking about Mackenzie Milton, talking about Jordan Travis, and the way these running backs played, and you could hint that he was fighting back the tears of how happy he was his guys played that hard. This time last year, or the year before, or even going back to maybe Jimbo's last year as head coach, they fall down 18 points to a team like this in this game, they're folding up their tents. They're done. Okay, they're folding it up. So anybody who wants to say that Norvell needs fired is not an FSU fan. They don't really know much about football in general, and they're probably just a pompous ass. So this is the absolute right hire for this team. He is the right guy. Look what he's done for recruiting. And we haven't even got any of those guys, all these guys coming next year, Travis Hunter, A.J. Duffy. We haven't even got them on campus yet. Okay, there is a lot to be happy about. Sure, I hated the loss. When they came back, it was 38-35, and Fitzgerald hit that tying field goal, 38-38. I'm like, man, they really got a chance. 40 seconds. All they got to do is just wait it out, play for overtime, and anything can happen. I'm like, this is fantastic. What a game. Our dog had gotten loose. We have a husky, and he's kind of a pain, and he got out the gate, and he ran all over the town in pitch black. So I had to pause the game. And we was out messing with the dog for 15 or 20 minutes. So I'm watching the game, and then it goes to commercials, and I'm fast forward and trying to get caught back up so I can see the end, so nobody spoils it for me on social media. But I'm like, this is so awesome. This team played with heart. This team played tough, like toughness we haven't seen on both sides of the ball. Now they were overmatched. When FSU had the ball offensively, they were overmatched on defense. But they did not let that get in their way. Ja'Shawn Corbin had a career game. Okay, sure, he busted off that 89-yard touchdown run, but that set the tone. That put them back in the game. And then they went up 14-7. And then they fell behind, and they fought their way back. Next week they got Jacksonville State. Okay? There is no reason why this game should be close. There's no reason why, we don't see some backups playing in the second half, and this game should be solidly in hand. After that, it gets real. Okay? Now, it was real last night. That was an amazing atmosphere. That's something I still get chills right now here at 8:30 in the morning. I still get chills watching that crowd and all the tomahawk chops and the fight song and the war chant and the tribute to Bobby Bowden was pretty cool. And just, Ann Bowden was there, and everything that represents Florida State was on display in prime time last night. And if that doesn't get you riled up enough, this team that just 1 year ago was in a transition rebuild had a top 10 team on the ropes with a chance to win in overtime on the week where the ACC overall didn't really show up. Okay, Miami got boat raced by Alabama. Okay, Clemson lost in a defensive battle to Georgia. North Carolina gets upset by Virginia Tech. So on a week that wasn't all in all that great for the ACC, Florida State, as they have for so many years, for so long, said, okay, we'll make sure that we're not the laughing stock of the conference again. And we'll step up and we'll do our best to punch Notre Dame in the mouth. And I said this from a long time ago. I said this when, I watch camp reviews, I watch film, I watch interviews, I watch everything that I can. And I knew that FSU was going to play them tough. I said they may not win. I got a couple of friends of mine are Notre Dame fans. I was like, they may not win, but they will punch the Irish in the mouth. And that's what they did. They punched the Irish in the mouth over and over, and they were in it till the end. And that's what I wanted to see. I just want to see them get embarrassed. I want to see them play tough, play with inspiration, play with heart and pride, and play for the brand, and play for your brothers that you love on the field. And they did that. They showed up, and they played a fantastic football game. The outcome is the outcome. But you can't let one loss turn into two, and you can't let up. You have to build on what you had. You can't say, well, it was no moral victories. That's kind of what Mackenzie Milton said in his press conference afterwards. There's no moral victories. You have to build on it, and you have to get better, and they can get better. And they're not going to see teams like this all season. They're going to be in games where they're going to be on the other side of the outcome. And that pass rush was good on a very, very good Notre Dame offensive line. So that leads me to believe that if they bring their game every single week, why can't they be in every game all season long? Why would they have to get embarrassed by Clemson? Why can't they get to DJ Uiagalelei the way that they was getting, to Jack Cohn? There's no reason they can't. There's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot to look forward to, and there's a lot to build on, obviously. But there's a lot to think bigger picture, not just next game or next week or yesterday. If you look at the landscape of this team, Norvell's building it. He said this from day one in his press conference when he introduced as a head coach. We're going to build this team the right way. We're going to build it from the inside up. We're going to build